A few years back, I was advertising an entertainment centre on Craigslist. A woman responded to the advert and asked to come over to have a look at it. We set up a time, and when the time came, she didn't show up. I sent her a text, and a couple of hours later, she replied and asked if it was too late to come by and have a look at the unit. It was 10 PM, but I said okay. She said she would be there in 10 minutes, but 20 minutes later, she still hadn't turned up, so I sent her another text. 20 minutes later, she responded, saying she would be another 10 more minutes. It had now gone past 11 PM, and she still hadn't shown up. I sent her another text and said we would have to do this another day, and she replied that she was just pulling up. I went to my front door, and sure enough, she was pulling into the driveway, and there were about 4 or 5 other people in the car with her. They then all got out and started walking towards my front door. In a panic, I rushed to the door and secured the door chain, then opened it and asked them what they were doing. The woman then said, "Oh, we all want to see the entertainment center." I told her that only she could come into my house, and at that point, I wasn't sure I even wanted her to come in. She said she needed at least one other person's opinion. I said no. She got indignant, and I asked her to leave. She responded by saying that I'm not being a very good Christian. I said I'm fine with that, and went in my house and locked all the doors, peeking out of the window. One of the dudes who was with her was peeing at the end of my driveway. But then, they got in the car and finally drove away. The whole thing was super bizarre. I was new to a big city and decided I didn't need my car anymore. So I listed my car for sale on Craigslist, a 6-year-old Honda Accord. A normal, well-dressed man came over to see it after a few phone calls about it. He was in his early 40s, and his name was James. He was buying the car for his daughter as she was in college. I always had my guard up when dealing with strangers, but so far, James was personable and seemed legitimate. He test drove the car with me in it. He did a thorough inspection. He negotiated the price with me for a while. He asked me to hold the car for 2 days so he could get the money and come pick it up. I agreed. A 2-day hold where I wouldn't sell it to anyone else. 2 days later, James followed up and we met again. Midday, normal neighborhood in an urban city. James and I test drove the car one more time. He gave me a Chase Bank cashier's check, which I said was fine. I told him he needed to come to the bank with me to cash this check and to get the title notarized over to him. This is when he started acting nervous. We were pulled over on the side of my street discussing this, James in the driver's seat and me as the passenger. Now, I'm fairly comfortable with him. I figured if he was going to steal my car, he would have done it 2 days earlier. He asked me to do one more car inspection with him, then we'd go to the bank. I agreed, but I was very set on doing the transaction at the bank. As we both got out to inspect the car again, he jumped back in and floored it as I tried to get back in with him. He pulled away quicker than I could react, the passenger door wide open. I tried to run after him, and then realized I'm not as fast as a car. There were bystanders, and I hysterically asked someone to call 911. One guy did. I had my phone, but my adrenaline was through the roof, and didn't even think of it. As I'm on a stranger's phone with dispatch, an undercover cop car with 2 officers pulled out of an alley 5 feet from me. I waved them down and hysterically explained my story. They told me to hop in the back of their car, which I did. I implored them to hurry so that we could catch this guy as he continued to drive away. I explained the car, the plate, and everything. They assured me that they would not go on a high-speed chase with me in the car, but would radio it in to all surrounding officers, which they did. The guy got away, and the officers dropped me off at the police station to file a report. I filed an insurance claim too, and was so mad at myself for letting this happen. I suppose it's better than if I was in the car with this guy, but I was still mad. Of course, James' burner phone didn't work as soon as he had left. I went through insurance and their protocols to ensure I was not committing fraud for about 3 months. The week I was supposed to get paid, I got a call from the police. They found my car 3 states over. James was working with a partner in crime. I don't remember his name, let's call him D-Face. James stole the car and gave it to D-Face to sell so it wasn't traceable back to James, and D-Face would have plausible deniability if he was ever questioned. Well, D-Face sold my car to an average Joe who actually did have a daughter in college who needed a car. The daughter tried to register her new car at the DMV and it came up as stolen. So the cops arranged for me, the average Joe, and D-Face, whose contact info average Joe had as he paid him with a check and there was a paper trail, to meet with them at the station for a little chat. D-Face denied any involvement with James, but agreed to give us the money back that average Joe paid him if he could just leave without any problems. We all agreed to this. Average Joe and I say his daughter can keep the car and I'll take the money from D-Face. So eventually, I got paid for my car, but this experience was awful and very stressful. Since then, I have bought and sold cars on Craigslist again, so no lesson was learned. Except now, I take a photo of the driver's license of anyone I interact with from the start. Before I continue with the final story, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to see future content from me, as well as help me in the algorithm. Thank you. My youngest brother sent me a text one day. He'd saved up $700 and wanted a computer. I told him, I know a subreddit we can go to, but no. He'd found a guy on Craigslist with a machine. He said it's like a $1,000 machine for $600 and wanted me to go with him to check it out. I can't, as my schedule is packed. The guy basically said he can do a Skype call showing the PC working and I can peek inside the guts from the video call. So I did exactly that. It looked good, a very high-end computer, and everything was brand new with boxes for the components. I told my little brother, who was 18, that it's all good. If he can snatch it, then go for it. Well, about 8 PM, I got a Skype message from the Craigslist seller. It said, I got your brother. I completely froze. My blood ran cold, and for a solid 20 seconds that felt like hours. I started running through how I was going to find this guy and murder him with my bare hands for threatening to hurt my baby brother. Finally, he finished typing his second message. He wanted to meet in the Walmart parking lot. We met up, and I got out to shake his hand, and he just fainted. He's sitting in my SUV. He woke up once and just passed right back out. So, I told my brother no because I had work. But obviously, this needed to be handled. So I get in my car and head for Walmart. I exit my car and instantly see why my brother basically soiled himself. This dude stepped around the SUV and is like 9 feet tall. Exaggerating, 7 foot and some change. And was so jacked, I think he could beat up Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. I'm a little less paranoid than my brother, so I held my hand out for a shake. We did so, and he put a giant hand on my shoulder and pointed inside the SUV. I could see my little brother sitting in the far back seat with his knees on his chest, like a puppy during a thunderstorm. I had a chat with the guy. He literally just tried to meet my brother to sell the computer, but he actually fainted in terror. He scooped him up and put him in the back seat to rest. It happened exactly like his message. So I opened the door and popped my head in, little bro basically on the verge of tears. I explained the situation to him. He admitted that he thought the Craigslist seller was going to beat him up, steal his $800, and possibly touch his bum inappropriately. I laughed. The seller laughed. I chatted with the guy for a bit as my brother was loading the stuff into his car. The guy said he bought computer parts yearly when they went on sale and always sold them for a profit for himself, but at a pretty low cost since he slowly built them over the year. He was actually a really great guy. Said my brother was the first person to ever pass out in fear. I mean, all's well that ends well, and I'm sure it was more terrifying from my brother's point of view. But getting a message from a guy on Skype, "I have your brother," was pretty damn scary.